Good evening friends, you're most welcome to Civil Affairs channel. Today we are going to discuss Social Anthropology by MAAN IGNOU. Here we will discuss Comparative Ethnography MANE003 and our topic is theoretical part of which the ethnography the Gonds of Andhra Pradesh, tradition and change in an Indian tribe is an example. Historical particularism posits the idea that every culture is a unique result of its own historical processes, which can be well related to the cultural behaviors of the Gonds linked up with their history and mythology. There exists a symbiotic relationship between the Pardhans, the Bards, and the Gonds, the agriculturists. The interrelationship between these two tribes contributes to the well being of each other. Without the Pardhans, the Gonds would not have the knowledge of their traditional history for which the former is paid by the Gonds. The reason for such a tie between them is usually due to economic favors. Pardhans recite myths of Gonds and epics that are preserved for generations during the rituals and ceremonies, whereby the traditional knowledge of the Gond is kept intact by them. The concept of intercultural competence can also be noticed between the relationship of these two cultures. Functionalism, a theory stressing the importance of interdependence among all behavior patterns and institutions within a social system to its long term survival, is clearly portrayed from the ethnographic account on the Gonds, stressing on the interdependency and interrelationships of various institutions such as economic organizations being linked with religion and the functioning of each substantiating the existence of the other. The agricultural work and the cult of deities and spirits are inextricably interwoven. The tribal communities have been marginalized from the mainstream of the Indian society through the caste system. They in turn consider themselves distinct from the majority of Hindu population as well as from most other organized forms of religion. Until few years ago, cattle was regularly slaughtered for sacrifice and meat was greatly relished by the Gonds, but this practice has been abandoned due to Hindu sentiments. Perhaps the most significant change is the new habit of going on pilgrimage to Hindu temples. However, to a large extent, the influence of Hindu religion, mythology, and festivals is being assimilated into Gond cultural practices, supporting the idea of Sanskritization. The relationship between the environment and the subsistence of the Gond population are greatly intact with each other. Gonds, who once largely depended on minor forest produce (MFP), which are considered with vast economic importance, could no longer in the same way rely on it due to progressing deforestation. Description of the ethnography introduction part. The process of change and its impact on the social structure of tribal community through the way of development is always considered a core of anthropological work. One such effective research on the Gonds of Adilabad district in Andhra Pradesh carried out by Furier Hammendorf stays anew as an example of an extensive ethnographic study entitled The Gonds of Andhra Pradesh Tradition and Change in an Indian Tribe. A descriptive account of the traditional culture of Gonds, along with the process of culture change, is explicitly recorded in the above mentioned work, a classic ethnography on the Gonds encompassing the importance of the native language, the importance of political, economical, and social roles carried out by the members of the community, and in studying the history tracing back to the origin of the tribe are specifically focused. The Gonds, Gondi. dialect of Dravidian origin. Speaking populations are regarded as a tribal community with greater prominence in Madhya Pradesh and Hyderabad. The Rajgons, on the other hand, are the division from Gonds who tried to raise their social status as the result of being Hinduized, considering themselves as separate Hindu caste under new names. The historical position of Gonds is analyzed through a brief review of early political events, though there is a few ambiguity marked. Gonds, though having contacts with the populations of different cultural heritage, such as their neighboring tribal communities, Kolams, Naikpods, Pardhans, Totis, and Khatis, and caste-based populations from Maratha and Telugu caste, there is no prominent marking of their identity being impaired. Gonds are found to subsist largely on agriculture, and hence there is great importance and strong sentiments attached to the land. Nevertheless, they also carry on with few other subsidiary occupations such as animal husbandry. The Gond village is considered the social and territorial unit linked with tradition, rituals, and kinship, the fabric of tribal community. The social structure of Gonds is backed up by the formation of phratries saga, the exogamous patrilineal descent groups that share a common mythical past with traditional marriage system. The Gond social structure is associated with the totem that speaks of their antiquity, and these totemic observations are mainly related to animals. The observance of totemic taboos is significant irrespective of the phratries they belong to, and it strengthens their fratry solidarity. Through several ceremonies and rituals, the solidarity is reaffirmed, which supports each other in few economic and emotional interests. However, when it comes to judicial proceedings and tribal panchayats, parties are not aligned in respect to the phratries. The phratry system is not only regulates the internal working of Gond society but also determines the relation between Gonds and the other tribal community. There are several hymns that are enumerated by the Gonds concerning the rituals or mythical attributes. During appropriate rituals and ceremonies like marriages, these sacred hymns are sung. These convey the formation and importance of clans and phratries with their names. The Gond village is seen as a unit without the discernment discernment of any kind of class differences. The headman and the priest are elected representatives of the villagers. There is a fundamental equality prevailing among the inhabitants of the Gond village. Gond mythology is well complicated that only few exceptionally have detailed and comprehensive knowledge of ancestry beliefs. With the above introduction on the ethnographic details of Gonds, the following discussion will focus on the detailed description with analysis and summary. With analysis and summary. Intellectual context. The connection between food restriction and the taboo with the clan system plays a significant role, whereby the reader can understand the avoidance of the flesh of certain animals, forming a definite bond between the members of the clan or the fratry, which indeed is an important factor corresponding to the identity of their social unit. Through the agnatic line tracing among the Gonds, it is understood that the child inherits only his or her father's and not the mother's taboo. A married woman observes both the taboos of her father's clan and her husband's. The husbands, however, are not bound to respect his wife's totemic avoidance. Throughout the life of a Gond woman, her position in the exogamous system is determined by her father's clan membership. By discovering the structural relations between the system based on a hierarchy of aristocratic lineage and the segmentary organization of phratries and clans, whose equal status is one of the keynotes of Gonds ideology. The researcher was able to construct a model according to which each clan would contain an aristocratic lineage establishing itself as overlords over those of weaker and smaller clan. Let's repeat this. By discovering the structural relation between the system based on a hierarchy of aristocratic lineage and the segmentary organization of phratries and clans, whose equal status is one of the keynotes of Gond's ideology, the researcher was able to construct a model according to which each clan would contain an aristocratic lineage establishing itself as overlords over those of weaker and smaller clans. The uses of the concept of ethnopoetics in recordings, the versions of Gond's oral poetry, narrative performances, and recitation within the specific cultural context enhances the depth of the study. The association between the Pradhans, the bards, and Gonds, the agriculturalist, is considered long standing as is sanctioned by an elaborate sacred mythology which has been preserved by Pradhans, which emphasizes the importance given to oral tradition. Fewer Hamendorf here contradicts Warrior Alvin's reference to the Pradhans as younger brothers of the Gonds. Though Pradhans bear the same clan name as Gonds, yet they are not considered a full member of the clan and do not stand on the same level as the Gond clan members. Though symbiosis between these two communities is undoubtedly old, it has not been long enough to effect complete assimilation into all spheres of the culture. Führer Hammendorf in his study has made a comparison between South Indian and North Indian tribes on the basis of tribal justice. According to the Gond justice, there is no joint responsibility of kinsmen such as prevailing among the Northeast tribal community. Yet another interesting fact is that the months of the God year do not coincide with those of the Georgian calendar in order to indicate as precisely the possible timing of the ceremonies and rituals. The Gondi names of the months will be used in corresponds with their economic activities. Thank you very much.